Hi, everybody, and welcome to Autism Awakening, the podcast that helps you help your child with autism. I'm Dr. Jared Scourin, and really exciting to have another guest speaker today on our podcast. This is Tracy Slepcevic, and she is running a brand new Autism Summit out of San Antonio, Texas, in a couple weeks, in the beginning of February. I'm going to be there, and so many big names are going to be there. If you've got a child with autism and you're in the Texas area or you want to be in the Texas area the first weekend of February, this is the Autism Summit to be at. So Tracy, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
So tell all the families and listeners out there about the show, because you've got a lot of big names. And I was really excited to come and take part in it. And you've got bigger names than most autism conferences that are out there.
I do because I spent the last 3 years building relationships when I wrote my book, Warrior Mom. So when I did that, I was traveling around from conference to conference and I was getting endorsements and I wasn't saying, I wasn't taking no for an answer. So me and my husband went everywhere. He was speaking for the Reawaken America tour at the time. And then, you know, eventually he gave me like half of his speaking spot, and then I got my own speaking spot, and then my book came out. So then those relationships just kept coming. I was able to really, build a lot of relationships through that conference alone, because so many great doctors were there. Now, Del Bigtree, we've known for quite some time, as we were battling up at the Capitol in California and fighting for our kids' rights. And so, throughout the years, we've made some great relationships. So, Dr. Andrew Wakefield, Del Bigtree, Mickey Willis, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Judy Mikovits, Dr. Brian Hooker, Dr. James Neuschwander. I mean, I got the best pick. We have Dawn Marie Gavin, who is, the guru in spellers. We are going to be doing the screening of the Spellers documentary, and we're going to have a great panel of individuals who do spell to communicate. And it's to me, it's about community. Because when my son was diagnosed with autism, the one thing I remember was feeling alone and like I couldn't relate with somebody. So I went to conferences, I went to parent meetings, I went to tea talks, I went to all kinds of stuff to really immerse myself. I read book after book. That's where my journey in healing my son's underlying biological conditions began, as to where he began to talk. So after so many years of utilizing biomedical intervention for Noah and being successful. And I can't say that every person is successful in regards to the way, my outcome was and Noah's. And I wish it was, but, I always say, set a clear intention as to what it is that you choose to create, and you can create anything. So that was when my naturopathic doctor came to me and said, no, we'll be fine. I want you to go do your homework. I sucked the tears back up into my eyes and I went home and I got to work. And there wasn't a single person that was ever going to tell me that my son couldn't function. And that was right down to a cellular level, that I truly, truly believed it in every ounce of my being. And today he's 18. He's driving to his own appointments, and he graduated high school. He's going to college, and looking to get a job soon. I mean, he can take care of himself. He's doing everything that your typical teenager, does. And he doesn't pay any attention to my dietary restrictions anymore, because, Mom, there was all this good food out there that you deprived me of. And I said, no, 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 that's not food. That's garbage. And that's why I deprived you of it. So fun days. But he's a great kid. I'm super proud of him. And but it's been a journey. And now I want to bring these parents together, also practitioners. I'm offering, I think, almost 14 CME credits for doctors and nurses. So anybody who wants to earn CMEs, and even after, they could purchase the recording to get CMEs. That's an option. So all these wonderful doctors, parents, caregivers, and freedom, health loving people coming together as a community.
That's fantastic. And I mean, you said two things right there that I want to go back to. Number one, and I think most important, know a story. I mean, so many families that, at least families I talk to, aren't on your end of the journey, which is the end of the journey. They are still at the beginning of the journey, even if they're saying, will my child ever talk? Not, will he drive himself to his own doctor's appointment? So that is just a huge thing that we've got to bring to all these new families who are new to autism, new to biomedical, new to the potential that their child can improve to be one who's self-sufficient and independent. So that's huge. And the other thing that you talked about, which I say all the time to people, you feel so alone. And the best place to be is with your tribe and with your people. So if you are physically at a conference where you look around the room and there are hundreds of people around you and every single one knows what you're going through, there is nothing that compares to that.
Even the majority of my vendors are moms and dads who have gone down the same road. I mean, when I wrote my book, I'm not the only one telling that story, as you know. I'm one of many thousands of parents telling that story. And I truly feel that if you truly believe that your child can heal and function, that anything is possible. Because I always say, with God, all things are possible, right? So, and I know I'm a little piece of God, so I'm a powerful creator and I can create anything. And I did. I truly went the distance. I bartered for treatments. I negotiated. There wasn't a single doctor, person, whatever, that could say no to me, because no wasn't in my vocabulary. And when people were telling me, oh, that biomedical stuff doesn't work, namely my pediatrician, I'm like, you don't work either. So let it roll off the back, onward, upward. Today they have this great thing. It's called Delete Block. And I don't even go there with some people who spew their nastiness of, how can you just not accept my kid? I accepted my kid regardless. He is my number one teacher. He's my most precious thing ever. And but no, I wasn't going to accept his fate that he wasn't going to function for the rest of his life. I wanted to give him the best quality of life possible, which to me, most parents want that for their children. Not all, but most. So
Yeah, and again, you've got excuse me, you've got that personality that parents need, where you don't take no for an answer. And especially the biggest one is the pediatricians, because most pediatricians are going to dismiss you. I mean, I'm telling you what you already know, but most pediatricians are going to dismiss you. They say everything's fine, and then you get diagnosed, and they're like, well, you got therapy, but nothing else works. And honestly, it's just they are so overwhelmed and swamped with their own work, they haven't been able to open their eyes and see anything else out there. They haven't been able to see this world unless you got a pediatrician who has a child on the spectrum. They don't get you. You've got to be with your people. And why wouldn't you? I had Honey Rinicella on podcast a few weeks ago, and she's involved with the Spellers movie, as you know. And we were talking about the same thing. If your child was born with bad vision, you would get them glasses. Yes, I accept who you are, and I accept that your vision's not perfect, so I'm going to get you glasses to help you have a better life. So if you've got a child with something medically going on inside that's contributing to autism and developmental delays, why wouldn't you help them? Yes, you accept them where they are, and we want to help you be better.
right. So I always have to tell these people, so if my kid got cancer, you want me to just be like, I just need to accept my kid just the way he is.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, he is still the same awesome kid that he has always been, not afraid to step outside of the box. You know, dresses up like Kermit the Frog. I mean, he just doesn't care. When he was little, you know, the parents too were like, oh my God, what does that look like? What's gonna, you know, is somebody gonna make fun of him? And Noah was this like was so into Michael Jackson. And he's like, second grade, he's like, Mom, I'm doing the talent show. And I'm like, oh, you don't really want to do that, do you? What if they tease you or make fun of you? And he looks at me and he's like, I'm doing it with or without you. And I'm like, okay. I was once upon a time, I was a dance teacher and I'm like, all right, let's get to work. This gets to look like pretty fantastic. And that kid got a standing ovation.
Oh, well,
And
that apple didn't fall far from the tree when it comes to persistence.
no, 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 he's still quite the negotiator. Um, you know, he should have gone to law school, but yeah, yeah.
There's still time.
I
He's
don't want
still
to
young.
overdo it.
But again, Noah's story is amazing. And I mean, just like every recovery story is amazing because it's what most of society thinks is impossible is possible.
Right. Because if you take impossible, it just means I'm possible if you just turn it around,
I'm
right?
stealing that. Thank you. I'm sure I've seen it before.
Yes. So, and honestly, part of my talk, because I always talk about, okay, here's your underlying, you know, pre-genetic dispositions that a kid could have, and then, you know, here's your environmental factors, and this is what can happen. So I'm going through that really fast because I'm sure all you doctors are going to cover that. And then I'm really getting into the whole spiritual aspect of you have to believe, you have to have faith. You truly have to have faith. Have faith of a mustard seed. You can move mountains. I mean, if we just had a little bit, and I had more faith back then when that one doctor told me that all of this was possible. And I, you know, still till that date, it's so crazy because we were living in Redondo Beach at the time and had our office in Palos Verdes, and his office was next to us. Now we're in San Marcos and he lives down the street in Carlsbad. Um, but it's, you know, it's such a small community when you think about it, of freedom fighters and all of us getting the word out and creating wellness. And I just wanted to inspire parents that it is possible, because if they believe it to be true for themselves, then that's half the battle. You know, when you listen to the garbage over and over and over. And I wouldn't, like, the first thing my pediatrician said is, oh, that biomedical stuff doesn't work. And I'm like, lady, it's working already. This whole gluten-free, dairy-free, my kid spit out a couple words the other day. Um, and and keep your focus. So to me, I could have focused on the pediatrician who went back and doctored Noah's records by writing in there 3 times that Noah needed an evaluation for autism, when I asked her clearly if it was possible my kid could have autism. And she said, no, he just needs speech, all 3 times. But no, she went back and documented. And then the why, the after school YMCA, who lost my child when he eloped and didn't even call me or my husband or anybody. And then when I went to go pick him up, said, oh no, it was just not a good kid today.
Yeah.
And all these things that I could have focused on. I could have focused on, oh, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That I'm like, no, I'm going to focus on healing my son. I could have, you know, hired an attorney and battled with Harbor Regional Center to get parents, like, you have to have 40 hours of ABA. That is, to me, I don't know about you, that's overkill. I don't know any kid who could focus for 40 hours on ABA. You're insane.
Yeah,
So I'm going to
that's a
take that
full-time
five
job.
grand and I'm going to dump it into, some biomedical stuff. I'm
Exactly.
going
Exactly.
to go that way.
So tell everybody who's listening out there, all the families, that they should be inspired by your story. They should be inspired by Noah, what you've done, what you've accomplished, and again, all that personal fortitude to have your goal and say, nobody's going to shift me from this goal. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. I got my goal. He's my boy. I'm going to take care of him. What can families expect at this conference? What will they get tangible, and what will they get inspirational?
So first of all, you're gonna get community. You're gonna meet other parents. You're gonna meet like all the great doctors. You're gonna have an opportunity to see the science, the old science, the new science, new healing modalities that are out there. I'm super excited to introduce a lot of that. Because as you know, in the biomedical world, something new comes out like every day. So we have a lot to introduce on that aspect of it. And it's a great event. If they're a medical professional, if they're a doctor or a nurse, they can earn those CMEs. It's a lot of CMEs to earn. I am working hard on putting that together. You're one of the only doctors that didn't change anything. It's like, okay. Oh, you did. You changed your title. I take that back.
That's true. Yeah.
Probably still have to update that somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
it's we'll get there.
But no, it's a great community. It's a wonderful event. I have Jeff Sewell and his whole family flying out from London, and he is a world-renowned tenor singer who recovered his daughter from an autism diagnosis, and she is going to be singing alongside her father. There will not be a dry eye in the whole room, I promise you. Um, and you'll be able to, if you purchase a VIP ticket, you can do the meet and greet with the doctors. You can meet Andy and his producers and his main lead actors for Protocol 7, which is upcoming film coming out. We're going to do a little preview for that. So there's lots of great things. We will be able to see the Spellers documentary and meet a lot of the spellers there. So that's very inspiring. And hear a lot of stories from parents, because that is inspirational. That is what fuels us. If you listen to positive stuff over and over and over, it's eventually going to make its way into your subconscious mind. So I'm here to tell you, before you go to bed, instead of thinking all about the garbage that happened throughout the day, just focus on what it is that you want for your child, because that will really sink in.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite life conversations. I was talking to the owner of there's a biomedical lab called Metametrics, and they sold to another biomedical lab, Genova. Anyway, and I was talking to the owners of Metametrics, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "You know what, Jared? You got to remember this." He said, "You can have anything you want in life. You just need to figure out what it is you want." And that's what it is for our kids. If you don't believe that it's possible, it'll never happen. It won't
True.
just happen on its own. There's so much out there to do.
There is. And it's endless. People are like, what's the best thing that worked? I mean, other than cleaning out Noah's gut, I threw everything at that kid but the kitchen sink, and he still has a tanked immune system. I mean, now he's a teenager, wants to eat what he wants, so then there goes that immune system. And so he still has to go in for IV treatments, go to his doctor's appointments and all this. And we talked earlier, he's doing MERT, which is TMS therapy, transcranial magnetic stimulation. So helps stimulate the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe. So these kids can function better, less anxiety and behaviors and stuff like that, which is, to me, that's what, when they move into the teenage years, that's what they have. There's more peer pressure. There's all kinds of stuff. They're following the narrative. They're brainwashed. That's another thing. You take these kids are so vulnerable, and you put them in today's world, and they are so easily brainwashed and manipulated and programmed.
Right.
So be careful for those who have children in school, because I had no idea my kid was watching CNN news every day and that he was learning about how women pee on each other in English class. I mean, like very weird stuff that they're learning in school today.
Yeah,
So
it's a tough age for sure. My daughter's 11 and the preteen years are upon us, and it's tough age and social media and everything they can see. That's for sure. But there is hope, and that's what you're delivering at this summit, which is
I
amazing.
am.
So,
So
any kind of last, really take home messages for our families.
So there is a promo code. If anybody signs up for an in-person general admission or VIP ticket, they can use offer 75, and that's only for you, and they get $75 off the ticket, which is a huge discount. Usually I only give 50. All meals are included. That includes breakfast, plated lunch, snack, hours, and we have everything on the menu is gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. And if they require, I have some Jewish people coming, so I've ordered like vegan kosher meals. We can get those certified meals as long as I know a week ahead of time. But any dietary requirements, but we are eating exactly the way I'm preaching.
That is awesome. And we talked about all the, kind of the important part of the summit, the speakers, from around the world and the what they're going to learn medically, what they're going to learn for inspiration and hope. But I've also got a comment that the venue is quite nice as well. So what I forget the name of it. It's a Marriott Spa outside San Antonio.
The JW San Antonio, JW Marriott San Antonio Hill Country Resort and Spa. Yes, it is a massive venue. It's stunning, absolutely stunning, super beautiful, which is, hence the price of the tickets. Um, but it is a gorgeous property. It's a golf course. You don't even really need to leave property. There's several restaurants on the property. It's 15 minutes from the airport, 15 minutes to the Riverwalk, which was a huge reason why I had it there. And so for registration, anybody can go to Autism Health, HEALTH, autismhealth.com, and they can register. Do so soon. Hopefully, I'm hoping we sell out.
It's you know what? It's going to be a great summit. We're going to have all these links in our show notes. So, now that you're listening, go into the show notes and we'll have the link for the summit, that coupon code you gave, and we'll have a link for your book for Warrior Mom as
Yeah,
well.
so they can go to warriormom.org if they want a signed copy of my book, or my book is sold wherever books are sold.
I've got one myself.
Awesome.
I know. So, any last inspiration for families out there, families who are listening to this and saying, geez, I've got this kid on the spectrum and I don't know what to do. What's the most important thing?
With God, all things are possible. You can create anything. You can. So if you focus on healing, you create healing. If you focus on the doom and gloom, life will continue to hand you doom and gloom. So these are amazing individuals. And I feel super blessed that God put Noah's life in my hands. And I was that parent, because down the road, as back then, I was just as sad, I didn't know what to do, lost. But today, my son gave me purpose, and he became my biggest teacher. So if we can look at it through different eyes, I had a parent contact me the other day, and she's like, he just won't talk, but she sends me a picture of this big, beautiful, bright smile on this little boy's face. I said, I want you to focus on that. That is the most precious picture. That was not a doom and gloom picture you just sent me. Um, So regardless, they have a lot of stuff going on underneath. When you address these things, they will start to heal, no matter what it looks like. Even for those that don't regain their speech, look at these spellers. They're doing amazing things, and they're intelligent, highly intelligent, getting degrees. People thought they were mentally retarded. I mean, so be careful what it is that you focus on.
I love that. Wise words from somebody who's been there and gotten through it. So, Tracy, thank you so much for being on our podcast. I really appreciate your time. And I am super excited to be at the conference in 2 weeks down in San Antonio.
Well, thanks for having me. And thank you for being such a huge support and getting it out there and, being one of my big sponsors. I appreciate it.
Well, we are here to help families around the world. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
And thanks everybody for listening for this episode of Autism Awakening. We will see you next week. Bye, everybody.